Because you can handle the truth.
What really happened with your host, Mike Rivero, because World War III is a really bad idea. Here is your host, Michael Rivero.
And aloha, America. Welcome to our show today. It is Tuesday, July 28th, 2020, getting on to the end of the month here. We have a lot to talk about today, and as usual, I'm going to talk about news until I run out of news, at which point we'll open up the phone lines and let you call on in with your comments, questions, observations, and opinions as to what's going on in the news today. All right, I have been watching all morning the House Judiciary Committee's interview with Attorney General Barr, and the partisanship is on full display there. The Democrats are out to get rid of this guy any way that they can. And some of it got pretty ridiculous. There was this one representative who was out there talking about tear gassing peaceful protesters. And Barr said, with some justification, if they're throwing trash cans through windows, they're not peaceful. And this guy came back and said, well, setting aside the ones who were doing that, you were still gassing the peaceful protesters who were standing next to them. Like tear gas can be aimed and targeted, which is completely ridiculous. Now, if you're a peaceful protester and you see people committing acts of violence, probably the best thing to do is to just get out of there and not be confused for them. When I was part of the protests against the war in Honolulu, the instructions that were handed out to the marchers ahead of time was, if you see somebody committing an act of vandalism or violence, you encircle them, you point at them, and you shout, agent provocateur, agent provocateur, agent provocateur. And we only had to do that a few times before the agent provocateurs all put their uniforms back on and left for the day. So one of the representatives, though, who was a little more sympathetic, came up with what I think is a very, very good point. If it's a peaceful protest, why did you have to negotiate a ceasefire? And looking at some of the videos that you're seeing, they've moved beyond fireworks. Now, the fireworks are very harmful. Apparently, somebody got a concussion when they got hit by one of those mortar shells, which do come out of those cardboard tubes at a very high rate of speed. And instead of going up and doing the fireworks, they're aiming these mortars. And somebody got a concussion from one of those. Apparently, another firework caught a police officer, burned through his sleeve, left burns all over his arms. And that's assault with a potentially deadly weapon. So this is not peaceful. When they behave like this, it's not a peaceful protest. When they're out there talking about burning down the federal courthouse, that's not a peaceful protest here. All righty. Now, Representative Jerry Nadler is claiming that the Antifa violence in Portland is a myth. It's not really happening. They're all peaceful protesters. And according to the congressman, it's just a myth that's spread only in Washington, D.C. So he's been raked across the coals by social media after insisting there is no protester, rented lips, instigated violence in Portland. Well, maybe not. Maybe it's being instigated by undercover agent provocateurs. And Nadler, of course, has been spearheading efforts to discredit federal police in the city. He is, of course, a Democrat, and he was approached by pundit and internet personality Austin Fletcher, who asked the House member if he disavows the violence from Antifa happening in Portland right now. And Nadler responded, that's a myth that's being spread only in Washington, D.C. Fletcher clarified about Antifa in Portland. Yes, the New York representative shot back as he walked away. So that's it. There is no violence. You're not seeing the violence. Everything's peaceful. If you're seeing violence, then you must be one of them, whoever them happen to be today here. Trump is sending more federal agents to Portland in significant increase in force at the courthouse. Now, there's something that needs to be clarified here because there's a lot of confusion going on. The federal forces that are going into these cities are there to protect federal property. That's their jurisdiction. They're going to protect the courthouses. They're going to protect the federal employees. And their jurisdiction runs out when they step outside the federal property. So they have limits to where they can go. This idea that they're going into the crowds of protesters to bust heads and everything, that's completely made up by the Democrat liberals. Okay? So, anyway. Let's see. Apparently, the Oakland protesters succeeded in setting fire to the courthouse. and smashing windows. About 700 demonstrators participated in what started as a peaceful march Saturday night, but then some broke from the larger group and smashed windows, spray painted graffiti, pointed lasers at officers. Those must be some very, very powerful lasers out there. Anyway, Seattle Mayor Jenny Durkan, an outspoken opponent of President Trump, basically said that the sending of federal forces to riot-plagued cities is a dry run for martial law. Not really. These are not armed forces that are being sent in. They're federal agents, and there is a difference. Armed forces are covered by posse comitatus, except for the Marines. And martial law would require basically abandoning posse comitatus and saying, send in the army to restore order. That hasn't happened yet. What Trump is doing is protecting the federal buildings and the federal employees because the local governments won't do it. And it's another one of those situations where no matter what Trump does, they're going to criticize him. If he didn't send in the federal agents to protect the federal courthouses and the federal employees, they'd say, look, he's doing absolutely nothing. He's letting these buildings be burned and these people be harassed, all for nothing. And now that he's trying to do something about it, oh my goodness, he's trying martial law. He's acting like a tyrant and a dictator. Harry Truman used to say that the Oval Office was the hottest kitchen in the world, and he's absolutely right. No matter what you do, there's some moron who's not going to like it here. Another article, this one came out of the New York Post, saying that the Portland protests have no goal except violence and anarchy. And this is what, 62 nights, 7 weeks ago. And some streets and areas are literally no-go zones at night, either blocked by fires or teams of what are called guards. And there's a trail of broken windows and fires everywhere they go from these violent protests. And yet, if you watch where some people from the media are trying to talk to these protesters, and they say, why are you protesting? I support Black Lives Matter. Okay, why? Well, I just do. Okay, but you're white. Why are you supporting Black Lives Matter? Well, it's the thing to do. It's the fashion trend, or whatever their rationale is. It's clear they don't really have a grasp of the agendas involved here, and a lot of them are probably being paid to be there. In an economy like this one, it's probably very easy to just wave a $50 bill and get somebody to come in and act like an animal for 8 hours. Now, up in Seattle, radio host and self-proclaimed cat dad Paul Gallant took to Twitter back in June to respond to Trump's handling of the protesters in Seattle. Responding to a tweet where the president was critical of the Seattle mayor, Gallant responded, "Chill, dog," before saying he saw no burning, pillaging, or deaths in his city. Well, that was before his own apartment got trashed and vandalized and looted. And now he's saying, I feel like I need to buy a firearm. What's that old saying? A conservative is a liberal who got mugged. All righty, let's talk about COVID-19. It's still out there in the news. It's still out there. It's actually starting to fade away relative to all the rioting, but it's still an issue out there. Apparently, according to Professor Kwok Young Yuan, China is destroying COVID-19 evidence. Now, take this with a grain of salt, because every time the United States wants to demonize somebody, they're always willing to find some kind of a defector or somebody who wants to defect and wants to curry favor with the U.S. government to say whatever needs to be said. And apparently the issue here is Professor Kwok Young Yuan is seeing indications of direct human-to-human transmission of the new coronavirus. He alerted the authorities in Beijing. It took 8 days for Beijing to warn the world that the coronavirus could be spread through human-to-human transmission. Well, it's not exactly destroying the evidence, but they were certainly late getting it out there. Yuan told the BBC he believes local officials covered up the scale of the initial outbreak by destroying physical evidence and delaying the response to clinical findings. I still think that COVID-19 was a work in progress for a biological weapon, and somebody dropped a test tube. There was an accidental release. It's certainly not acting like a finished, potent biological weapon. It's making a lot of people sick, and some people are dying. But it's about on the same level as the seasonal flu. and that's not an effective biological weapon. Otherwise, you just, cultivate the seasonal flu and spread that among your enemy. Okay, another expert has come forward to say that Trump was right. Hydroxychloroquine saves lives, and the propaganda war is killing people. This is an op-ed published by Newsweek, written by Yale epidemiology professor Dr. Harvey Risch, and he wrote that hydroxychloroquine is highly effective, especially when given in combination with the antibiotics azithromycin or doxycycline and the nutritional supplement zinc. Now, zinc, as I understand it, acts like a pump, if you will, to help pump these medications where they need to go. Scientists discover how COVID-19 can rob patients of their sense of smell after months of being baffled by the devastating symptom. And scientists claim to have finally figured out how the coronavirus causes patients to lose their sense of smell. And up until now, they didn't know. They just observed that it was so. It was an empirical observation. And now they think they know the mechanism by which it happens. Well, Bill Gates is out there moving the goalposts again and saying that it will take multiple vaccines to defeat COVID-19. Not just one, but multiple vaccines from multiple companies, all of which Bill Gates is probably heavily invested in. So they're raising the bar on sticking needles in your body, saying that a single vaccine won't be enough. You'll need multiple doses over a short period of time to deliver immunity. Now, this causes the hairs to go up on the back of my neck, because there was a big stink some years ago where the World Health Organization was handing out free typhus vaccinations to third world countries. And in that case, they said there had to be multiple vaccines over a prolonged period of time, 3 months, in fact. And that got suspicions raised by a lot of people, because there's already a well-established vaccine for typhus, and it takes just a single shot. So somebody got hold of some of the vaccine and had it analyzed and discovered that what it actually was sterilizing the women that it was being given to. It would trick their body into viewing a pregnancy as an infection, and their body's immune system would get rid of it. They'd miscarry. But it took several shots to get the body tricked into thinking that. So now all of a sudden they're talking about, not just one vaccine for COVID-19, but multiple vaccines over a short period of time. And I got to tell you, I'm given Bill Gates' prior comments about population control through the use of vaccines, I'm very, very suspicious. I'm very, very concerned about this. Okay, now, let's see. Now, Robert Kennedy Jr., sorry about the F. Well, actually, the F is correct. Environmental lawyer Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is warning Americans on last Thursday to be cautious about any new coronavirus vaccine, pointing out that key parts of testing are being skipped. They're fast-tracking this whole thing. And again, I want to remind everybody what happened back in 1976 with the mandated swine flu vaccination program, where the swine flu vaccine killed 50 times as many people as the flu itself did. And they were about a quarter of the way through the population, and they had to quit. They literally called it off because too many people were dying. If only a few people die, that's a small price to pay for, your stock going through the roof on your pharmaceutical company. But this was a major, major problem. So the Moderna vaccine, which is the lead candidate so far, skipped animal testing altogether. This was an online debate on mandatory vaccinations with renowned Harvard Law professor Alan Dershowitz, who's very pro-vaccine. The debate was aired by Valuetainment, moderated by Patrick Bet-David. So another aspect of testing was equally unsatisfying. Kennedy said the Moderna vaccine was tested on 45 people. They had a high dose group of 15 people, a medium dose group of 15 people, and a low dose group of 15 people. That's hardly enough to establish. Yeah, they're just running this thing together. And unfortunately, the vaccine companies, because of the Homeland Security Act and various other laws that have been passed, they're immune from lawsuits. They could pump whatever they want into your arm, and if it harms you, you have to go to the vaccine court, where you may or may not get some kind of compensation for what happened, but you can't sue the vaccine company itself. We're incentivizing a reckless approach to this process by protecting the vaccine companies from being sued. Now, over in Miami, the police are setting up mask traps, like radar traps and red light traps and so forth. Well, now they have mask traps. They're issuing $100 fines to people wearing masks improperly. Now, here in Indiana, Governor Holcomb has mandated everybody wear a mask in public places, but the police are saying they refuse to enforce that. So that's going up and down. And Claire and I were out earlier today, and we saw a lot of people not bothering with the masks anymore. So apparently Miami-Dade County is fining people for not wearing masks in public. And already the Florida media outlets are filled with stories of people cited for wearing masks improperly, lowering masks to sip a drink, or removing their face coverings once outside of a store. Okay, now I had not opened the phone lines yet, but for some reason people are calling in right now. So I'm going to go ahead and take some phone calls, starting with Peter in Los Angeles. Hello, Peter. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Mike, I called in early because I think what I'm about to say is pretty important, and it's linking all this stuff together.
Okay.
So last night or whatever, yesterday, there were 14 million views on Facebook. I think it's those doctors who are giving their against the narrative. We're going against the narrative, saying that the masks are not needed, that we could open up. And they were all at once deleted from all social media. Did you see that?
Yeah, I saw that.
All right. So let me start linking this stuff together. I also sent you something this morning where Black Lives Matter has moved all their funds into some Soros-controlled, basically money laundering group.
I saw that.
Yeah. Okay. So here we have a couple of things here, Mike. We have Soros funds Black Lives Matter. Soros funds Antifa. Now the money is controlled by Soros. And you wonder why Soros is in jail, because he's been in bed with the CIA all over the world with their color revolutions. He's also the largest donor to the Democratic Party, including Obama, including Hillary, and so on. So there's a lot of links there. Okay. Then we have the FBI, the CIA, the Department of Justice, and all these people, Comey, Strzok, Page, Rosenstein, all these, Brennan, who were actively engaged, and it's more and more absolutely positively apparent that they were engaged illegal in interfering in elections, undercutting a sitting president, vastly exceeding their charter, criminally vastly exceeding their charter. So the Democratic Party was certainly complicit in that whole Russiagate thing, along with those intelligence agencies. And of course, Soros is linked, and Antifa is linked to the CIA. So here we also have AOC's quote the other day saying that she removed, saying we've got to keep this pandemic thing going or whatever through the elections because it will hurt Trump. Remember that?
Yeah, I remember that.
Right? So that's a Democratic Party strategy. And mind you, the Democratic Party complicit in Russiagate. The intelligence agencies complicit in Russiagate. Not only the leadership, but the agencies themselves, their charters are at risk. The media is complicit in Russiagate, and then we have Soros linking all of these things just about.
Yes.
And so, and now we have the COVID thing, which they're trying to extend through Democratic mayors, through Democratic governors. They're trying to extend through the election. And you got to wonder, after all this stuff, and they're suppressing and killing anybody, including doctors and authorities, who speak out against it. And what I'm presenting here is a unified, field theory of what's going on here. And they have to get rid of Trump. They have to get rid of Trump because there's a possibility is out there, if he gets reelected, that not only Rosenstein and Comey and Brennan and Clapper and Loretta Lynch and Eric Holder and all those guys in the State Department and Strzok and Page, all those guys in the FBI and the DOJ, CIA, they'll go down. The institutions are at risk. The Democratic Party is at risk. Soros, being the largest contributor both to the Democratic Party and in bed with the CIA, he's at risk. All these people in the media, is at risk because they fermented. And can I hang on just one more?
Yeah. Peter, stay on the line. I'm going to bring you right back after these words from our sponsors.
Did you know that you can be tracked and traced when you're online? With identity theft and cybercrimes on the rise, your passwords, your identity, and even your physical location can be revealed to complete strangers. Would you like to surf the internet anonymously and not have to worry about these threats? Well, now you can by visiting patriotinternet.com. For about $2 per month, patriotinternet.com will conceal your IP address and your physical location, allowing you to browse the web, send emails, and instant message anonymously. patriotinternet.com will bypass filters, block sites, and keyword blocking. You can also bypass logging by your router and your ISP. With patriotinternet.com, there is no software to install and uses 128-bit encryption for your protection. When using wireless hotspots, patriotinternet.com shields your information from identity thieves and is compatible with Windows, Mac, and Linux. Protect your identity and your freedom with anonymous internet access from patriotinternet.com. Visit patriotinternet.com today.
Folks, we're living in a world the likes of which we've never perceived any clearer than we do now. The plan for global governance has been in the works for generations and would have likely been achieved by now, but for the fact that the globalists left open their Achilles heel. With all their tools, Federal Reserve System, fiat currency, no child left behind, and then Common Core education introduced to our schools to dumb us down, vaccines, pharmaceuticals to lobotomize us, GMO foods, insertion of compromised or bought and paid for politicians, judges, mainstream media propaganda, all pieced together like a puzzle designed to ultimately bring the world under submission. But with all their strategy, they forgot one thing: knowledge. And knowledge is power. With knowledge, their bombardment is nullified. Folks, with that, as brilliant and knowledgeable as you've become, among the wisest audience of any radio audience in the world, and you are, I want you to take a moment to reflect and ask yourself, how much of that knowledge did I obtain from Republic Broadcasting Network? How high has my consciousness been raised since I've been a listener? How fast am I now able to discriminate truth from fake news by being a Republic Broadcasting listener? How clear am I now able to see the world since I've been listening to RBN? Ask yourselves those questions, folks. Then ask yourself, what is that knowledge worth to me? Like my morning coffee, how would I survive without it? A voice of truth in a sea of lies. Do we not all need to make sure it survives? Like public broadcasting, we are now finding we can only survive with listener support. Censorship, advertisers being attacked, truth itself being attacked. It's the only way through this. We at Republic Broadcasting humbly ask you to become a supporter. Look at your budget and make a determination of what Republic Broadcasting is worth to you and what you can afford on a monthly basis. Go to republicbroadcasting.org and pledge 20, 30, 40, 50, if possible, 100 a month or more if it's affordable. Click the donate button and become a regular monthly donor. Assure both us and yourself that Republic Broadcasting truth will continue to flow like that morning coffee. The network thanks you.
When all this twisted steel was swept away, did these remaining holes reveal what's really happened?
Welcome back to our show here. Before we go back to Peter in Los Angeles, Joe Biden just wrapped up his press conference where the lower third said he's answering questions from reporters. And my question is that if these are spontaneous questions from the reporters to which Biden is giving spontaneous, extemporaneous answers, why did he need teleprompters? Doesn't seem to make a lot of sense. Anyway, let's go back to Peter in Los Angeles. And Peter was giving us a grand unified field theory of what's going on. And it seems this web of intrigue and distraction and illness and everything has one big dark spider at the very center of the web, and that's George Soros.
Well, I would tell you, he's part of it, but he's not the center. I think the banks are the center of it, because this COVID thing, Mike, you got to figure with how this plays into it. If it wasn't a CIA thing to begin with, then it might be, but who knows? but it's certainly being used now, and they're prolonging it. As AOC talked about, they want to prolong it through the election. Why? Well, because all these riots are going to cause people to vote for Trump. So
Yes.
you can't have in-person voting. You got to vote by mail, and you have to perpetuate this COVID bullshit. I'm sorry, excuse me.
Yeah, please
Pardon me.
watch the language.
COVID stuff.
Don't you curse on this
Yeah,
here
this-
radio.
I apologize, Mark, but you've got to perpetuate that to keep people from assembling legally, and also from keep that vote by mail thing going, that they can cheat. The center of all this are the banks, because also the longer that the economy stays closed, that means that they have no competition. The Federal Reserve would have bought up every single share of publicly held stock everywhere. All the privately held competition is gone. They'll own everything, and so it's all together. The Democratic Party can't survive the light of day in an investigation. The intelligence agencies can't. Comey and all those guys, they can't stand it either. The media can't afford to have their complicity in this. It's all one thing.
Yeah.
Mike and Soros is a key part of it, linking the CIA and the Democratic Party and Antifa and Black Lives Matter all together, certainly. But it goes bigger than that. And now he's in charge of the funds that they have, and they have more money than either the Democrats or the Republicans.
Yes.
Anyways, just wanted to hear what you had to say, and throw that to the other callers as well.
Well, there's no doubt that this is all being orchestrated. And again, for political gain. It seems like every election year, there's violence just before the election that each side tries to blame on the other. Again, the rioting, I think, is going to work against the Democrats as far as blaming COVID-19 on Donald Trump. I don't think that's really going to get a lot of traction. And that's mostly because... Go ahead.
It's not blaming it on, Mike. It's keeping it alive so that they go to vote by mail. And that people have a hard time, like everybody's canceling, their rallies. Nobody goes to Biden's, but people go to Trump's. They have to be canceled. So, it plays right into the Democrats' hands.
Yeah, you're absolutely right about that. You're absolutely right about that. The only thing I can say is everybody needs to get on out and vote their conscience, and don't be discouraged by, the bogus poll numbers. I mean, they're out there already saying Biden's going to win. He's got the poll numbers. Trump is just in free fall. That was what they were saying back in 2016, and you need to remember that. And the goal here of the corporate media is to basically discourage you even from filling out the write-in ballot, even though we know there's going to be massive, massive fraud here. The only way we can do that is to overwhelm the fraud, which is what we did in 2016. So when the election comes around, get out there and vote any way you can, in person if possible, or fill out your absentee ballot and send that on in. And we're going to need to get some poll watchers in there to take a look at the counting. And by law, they have to let representatives from the opposing party in to view the counting of the ballots. We could wound up with another debacle like we had in 2000 down in Florida. In fact, I'm predicting that's exactly what's going to happen.
Mike. That's their goal. And they've already said, because there's going to be mass confusion with the write-in stuff. And then Hillary's already come out and said, will he ever leave? She's already said that, right?
Yes.
She's already, floated that theory. And so, it's to me, it looks like it's all one thing. Anyways, thanks for the time, Mike. I appreciate it.
All right, you've got it here. And we've got callers on the line, but we're almost at the end of this segment. So let's talk a little bit about Jeffrey Epstein. It turns out Ghislaine Maxwell is not the only procuress that he had working for him. There's another name that has now surfaced. Natalia Malyshev is accused of recruiting young women for Jeffrey Epstein to abuse in the early 2000s. And apparently Epstein victim Sarah Ransom accused Malyshev of introducing her to Epstein in the Netflix documentary Filthy Rich. I got to make a point of seeing that. So there's another source trying to claim that Natalia was a victim in this. She didn't know what was going to happen to Sarah Ransom on that island. Okay, now apparently Ghislaine Maxwell is trying to get a court order so that the X-rated evidence will not be shown in her trial. Good luck on that one here. All right, we're going to take another break for commercials. We've got more callers waiting on the line, and we will be right back.
You are tuned in to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Visit our website by going to republicbroadcasting.org.
What would you say if I told you we have a new tool that will increase production and lower maintenance costs for your meat processing company? And it would pay for itself in just 6 weeks.
When pigs fly,
The new EaseOff Model Easy 4 replaces old spring-style carcass droppers and is faster, safer, and more reliable. The EaseOff lowers or lifts 1,000 pounds to or from your rail automatically using our remote control.
sounds expensive. Can I afford it?
Can you afford not to try the EaseOff? It installs fast with just 3 bolts in place of your current dropper. The effortless operation will reduce fatigue and injuries, speed up your line, eliminate downtime, and increase profit.
How can I order my ease off?
Go to easeoff.com, EAZEOFF.com, and hurry because we are offering $200 off on the new Easy 4 for a limited time. Easeoff.com. We make pigs fly. Cows too. EaseOff LLC, Summersville, Missouri, 417-932-6419.
Tired of being lied to by mass media? It's growing more and more apparent today that news is received less and less through standard media outlets. Even with a growing audience every day, RBN is beginning to direct more efforts into social media. Social media and the use of the internet is fast becoming the primary source of people for news, regardless of demographic. RBN has set out to provide some of the best news on the internet through republicbroadcasting.org, and also has begun to use the tools to our advantage by way of social media. Republic Broadcasting is now operating a Facebook page to function as yet another avenue to have our collective voice reach new audiences across not only America, but across the globe as well. The Facebook page features not only news, but also an RBN player to listen to our broadcasts. Get involved by visiting facebook.com/Republic Broadcasting and liking our page and share it with your friends and family, because you can handle the truth.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
Extendovite really works. Here are some reviews from Amazon.com. Amazon customer, 5 out of 5 stars. I'm quite happy about it. This product has relieved what appears to be an angina problem, pain in the chest after climbing stairs, and short on breath. I'm quite happy about it. Dr. Sam Surreal. Good product and ingredients. Kept my blood pressure normal after mild heart attack in 2015. Switched to plant-based diet also to reverse atherosclerosis. John Bispicos, 5 out of 5 stars. Built up my immune system. To order, call 1-877-928-8822. That's 1-877-928-8822. Or visit our website at heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
We the people, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty.
And welcome back to our show. And before we head back to the phones here, I'm thinking about what Peter said about, the the mail-in voting. And I saw earlier on the TV today where election officials, this was actually part of the William Barr hearing at the House Judiciary Committee, where one of the representatives, a Democrat, needless to say, was saying, well, we have checked with election officials across the country, and they're saying this kind of chicanery and fraud can't possibly happen in our elections here, which is exactly what they were saying in the run-up to 2016. And then, of course, when Trump won 2016, everybody said, oh, there was vote fraud, there was election fraud. Please investigate, please investigate. And then all of a sudden they said, no, wait, we changed our mind. Don't investigate the vote fraud. Oh, boy. It's going to be the same thing all over again. The Democrats are going to do everything they can to steal this election. And they think that's just the way it's supposed to be. And it isn't. Not in the United States of America. We're supposed to have honest elections. And it's possible to have honest elections. But the people who are in power right now did not win their seats honestly. They won by cheating. And so they're not going to change the system that they benefit from. All right, we're going to go back to the phones here to Nabil in Kansas City. Hello, Nabil. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hey, everybody. I called for the same reason as Peter called. He's a great caller. I love listening to him. America's frontline doctors yesterday shook the world. If the presentation they put on is unbelievable. They had 5 hours broke apart in 3 different videos, maybe in front of the Capitol, of impressive material on how hydroxychloroquine beats COVID-19. They attacked it from every possible angle. It got 20 million hits. One of their videos got 20 million hits before YouTube was finally able to yank it down. And their website is down today.
Yeah.
They tried putting up another video today, explaining kind of what happened, and they had some hecklers in the crowd. And I mean, they're still at it. These doctors are upset. They want to get the word out. They're tired of seeing people die, and just hats off to them. But the videos got deleted. But just real quick, some of the highlights that they had was what hydroxychloroquine does is it blocks the virus from getting into the cell. It stops it from replicating. It opens up a pathway for the zinc to get into the cell to actually get rid of the virus. It's good on any RNA virus. It concentrates 200 to 700 times in the lungs, more than any other place. You take a dose, I think every 2 weeks, and it will stop you from getting COVID-19. And they just went on and on and on. Richard, one of the doctors, put up $200,000 for anyone who can prove to him, and he was attacking Johns Hopkins, if he can prove to him that this hydroxychloroquine doesn't work. He did that a month ago, and he hasn't heard anything, just crickets.
Yep.
So it was an amazing videos. They're starting to show up on brand new tube, somewhat. They're hard to watch, but if anybody hasn't seen them, it is a must watch. And the other thing is, for years you've talked about, hey, let's have a Soviet-style collapse. We're going to have a new blueprint to rebuild America and get things straight. The problem is that has already been done for us with Black Lives Matter. They have the blueprint, and they're executing it before the collapse even started. So I don't think we're going to have a chance.
Blueprint. They have a blueprint. It's not the only one. And the thing is, they may bring about the collapse of the United States of America, but nobody is going to trust them to build a new country. And the American people are going to turn to their fellow American people to decide what the next country is going to be like.
Yeah, I hope you're right. And I'm predicting a theocratic system after that, because it's the religious people that's going to have the guts and the patience to stick this out. Anyway, have a great day, Mike, and have a great show.
All right, thanks an awful lot. We're going to switch over to David in Boston. Aloha, David. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Aloha, Michael. Michael, I was listening to one of these neoconservative, this guy's Yiddish, a neoconservative Yiddish Zionist talk show host. And he was making fun. What? Yeah. He was making fun. He was making fun of Ilhan Omar. And, it's not the first time I've heard some of these neocon conservative talk show hosts, these Zionist talk show hosts making fun of her. I know Billy Cunningham, the great American. I've heard him multiple times making fun of Ilhan Omar. But, I got to thinking, Michael, after everything, the endless talk about 911 and who's responsible, and it goes on, the person who, ironically enough, was a black woman from Somalia named Ilhan Omar, when she said, and this is absolutely the truth about the whole situation, some people did something, and we still don't know who all those people were, and we still don't know the top of the chain of command who actually gave the order to attack America, and we still don't know exactly how they did it. So Ilhan Omar, ironically enough, no wonder Dr. David Duke endorsed her. She's the only one that has spoken the truth when she said some people did something. That's the truth. And we still don't know who those people are, and we don't know exactly how they did it.
We have a pretty good idea. We have a pretty good idea who did it.
You don't know who gave who. Well, for example, who gave the command to attack America, Michael? Who actually gave the command? Somebody had to give the command. Was at the top of the chain of command that gave the order to attack America on 9/11. Who do you think that was?
I think George Bush was definitely part of it. Dick Cheney was part of it. You know, there's no one person necessarily giving the orders. It's basically a clique, a club. You know, there have to be multiple people involved so that everybody has plausible deniability.
And we still don't know exactly how it was done. Just like Ilhan Omar said, some people did something. We still don't know. Well, you know, the two of the people that did the best early on, did the best investigation of 9/11. They took out. Now, Reverend Mathieu from the World Church of the Creators, he did a good study of and exposed who and how it was done and everything, and they locked him away on this phony conspiracy charges to kill a federal judge, which was complete baloney. He didn't do anything wrong. He didn't conspire. And then Victor Thorne, they suicided Victor Thorne and everything. But as far as I'm concerned, these neoconservative Zionist Republicans can bash Ilhan Omar all they want. But I think I'm going to follow in with Dr. David Duke, and I'm going to say, right on, Ilhan Omar. On 9/11, some people did something, and we still haven't gotten to the bottom of it.
Okay. All right.
You can go on to the next call.
All right. Well, thank you very much, David. We're going to let you go and switch over to Miles in Maine. Hello, Miles. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Aloha, Michael. Yeah, you know, that was a good call by Dave, and quite interesting. You know, who knows who calls for this stuff? And like you suggested, it's more or less now a rule by committee.
Yes.
And therefore, it's easier for plausible deniability because the left hand didn't know what the right hand was doing, although we know it's all orchestrated, and they did. And like Peter's call was good as usual, but you know. And I agree with Peter, it's the banks, but, you know, to say Soros might not have been involved or culpable, you got to remember, Soros was a big piece on the chessboard of the bankers. He has big influence with the bankers.
Yes.
We've seen that. And, you know, and I was going to ask you, Michael, because this guy has been gnawing at me, these people that, Trump shouldn't send in the federal troops, and you know that's why they got the National Guard. Well, the National Guard is directed to by the governors. If the governors aren't doing their job, what else does Trump have to do to stop insurrection?
Okay. Well, again, Trump has not sent in troops. That's something that's being made up
not
for
troops, but
agents.
Yeah, exactly.
Federal agents.
It's just agents. Gathering information, trying to find the source of this, that, or the other. Exactly, not troops. But even if he sent in troops, he's got the right to do that, especially if the CEO, the executives of those states, which is the governor, isn't taking any action at all to protect his people. Trump has every right in the world to do that. But not only that, Michael, and I'll leave you with this, and I'll wait to hear your comments. But in this instance, like these people are saying, well, Trump shouldn't send in these people. What if they had said that as in that precursor to the Civil War? Imagine that.
Yes.
So with that, I'll listen to your comments and take them offline. And thank you for another great show, Michael. Keep up the good work.
Well, basically, what you're saying makes a lot of sense here. But again, we have the corporate media and the Democrats trying to describe what Trump is doing as sending in the troops and laying the ground for martial law. What he's doing is sending in federal agents from the Department of Homeland Security, the DEA, because there's a lot of drugs involved in what's going on. And these DEA and DHS agents are doing the job that they normally would do, the job that the state authorities should be doing and currently are not. There are no U.S. federal troops involved yet. There may be some people dressing up as U.S. federal troops going in and attacking some of the peaceful protesters in front of the press cameras. And I'm expecting that if it hasn't already happened, it will soon. Okay,
Well,
we're going to.
exactly, Michael. That's
Yeah.
that's what they're doing, and what they're doing is they're trying to bring in people to bring about and establish a type of prosecution to bring these people to justice.
All right. Well, thank you for the phone call. We're going to let you go and switch over to James in Tokyo. James, Ohio Gozaimasu, o genki desu ka? What's on your mind?
Genki desu, Mike. What's on my mind? I'm really stressed out because the dollar is collapsing quite a bit. And Mike, I think I'm very stressed out because the dollar is collapsing.
Yes.
And pretty soon, I think the Fed is going to change the name of the dollar to "In God We Trust." Trust me.
Not on your soul, Federal Reserve.
And, so to release a lot of stress, I'm happy that you're promoting the Extendivite because I have a new Russian girlfriend and I need some better circulation in my lower body. So thank you for that. A lot of my talking points.
Well, here, let me.
Peter, the guy from Kansas City, and yourself. Screw all these great callers, including yourself. You took all my talking points away. Yeah, with a hydroxychloroquine. Yeah, I saw the video and how the doctors came out and said that it would be great prophylactic in order to stop the disease. I totally agree, but I'd like to see leadership from Trump in order to make that as well as a Z-Pack over the counter, affordable to everybody. And I wish a lot of countries in the world will do it. In Japan, yeah, it's increasing a little bit. Like it went up from like about 100 to 300 a day, but still like nothing. But and only old people are affected by it. I also saw the bar hearings, and I've never been so disgusted with Democrats in my entire life. Just hearing how they wouldn't let them talk and just getting their talking points and how it's so bad to pepper spray people, peaceful protesters. I mean, you see pictures everywhere and videos everywhere of how they're burning everything down and hurting police officers and destroying courthouses, and they're going after him. And then I agree with you. You took him a talking point away from me. I think it's really going to affect them in the elections because I think most people, and even people like in states like New York and New Jersey, besides Dustin, can see and actually see that what they're saying is just total BS because it's just such. You just see it, like just being able to visualize something is much stronger than any type of talking point. And I love Peter's calls all the time. I have a question to Peter. My old business was getting people in the top Japanese corporate sponsors, executive candidates, like top companies, investment banks, and just American MBA programs. And you always mention how your daughter got into Harvard. I was wondering if she is attending, and if she is attending, is it going to be online, or are you going to be out of $70,000? And that's about all I have to say, Mike. You're looking a lot better than you did just even a month ago, and I hope you stay healthy, and I hope you finally give Claire all the love letters that I gave her for over the past 22 years.
Well, we had an accident with those. The dog ate them.
Yeah, I guess it. That dog ate him. Like, hey, I love you. You take care, brother.
All right. Thanks
Bye-bye.
an awful lot. We're going to let you go. And we're going to switch over to Voice in the Dark. Hello, Voice. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Oh, well, there's a whole lot on my mind today, Mike. But first, I want to thank you for doing what you do out here and keeping us all informed. I hope you and Claire are doing well.
We're doing fine.
Good. Can you hear me okay? I got you on
I hear you
speakerphone. I'm
just
sorry,
fine.
my hands are good.
You're I hear you just fine.
Here. All right. Well, I don't know whether your tech let you know, but I kind of wanted to take another 30 1,000-foot elevation perspective here and look at everything that's going on here at the moment, some of your callers have been talking about it, and I loved what Peter in LA had to say. He had some good points there. When we've got this vote by mail thing going on, and we've got all of these politicians fighting with each other up against William Barr just called out the Democrats for not condemning this mob violence thing going on. We got these people up in Portland going completely nuts right now. And on top of all that, we got this COVID nonsense going on, which has basically been debunked by science. Everybody already, if they're willing to do their homework, has already realized this thing is just bull snot. I'll try to not do it.
Nice recovery.
I tried. But, well, we all know it's bull snot. So when we have to really do our research...
Okay, voice, I got to put you on hold. Voice, I got to put you on hold. Don't hang up. I'm going to come right back to you after these words from our sponsors.
Homeowners, if your lender has gone out of business or sold your transaction to another lender or servicer, you may be the victim of a wrongful foreclosure, resulting in the loss of your home. If you've already lost your home, are in foreclosure, or even in good standing, you can challenge the mortgage transaction's illegal issue, and your property can be restored to you, and your foreclosure can be stopped or reversed, and the mortgage transaction declared unenforceable. State laws, U.S. title codes, the Uniform Commercial Codes, and U.S. Supreme Court rulings have upheld that defective mortgage documentations can reverse or stop foreclosures and enforce property title claims in favor of the homeowner. We are having successes in stopping the process of foreclosure, the enforcement of the foreclosure judgments, the sale of property, and evictions after the sale. We are not attorneys, and we don't give legal advice. We are a professional team of legal researchers, providing forensic mortgage audits and expert witnesses. We have the knowledge to produce the evidence and enforce laws regarding your legal issues. We've been in business for 12 years without a complaint. Consultations are free, and we provide a free title search to confirm if your mortgage has legal defects. Please call 855-253-3748. 855, 2, keep it today.
Corporate media dominates the American opinion. Finding independent voices that counter this avalanche is becoming increasingly difficult. With the endless corruption running rampant throughout our government, independent voices are needed more than ever to battle the offensive against our freedoms and liberties. As a listener of RBN, no one understands this concept better than you. Now it's up to you to do your part. The time has come for you to take action and begin broadcasting the truth to hundreds or thousands of people every month. Sound impossible? Quite the contrary. With pointed slogans from LibertyStickers.com, you can reach countless sleeping Americans unaware that they live in a real-life wonderland. LibertyStickers.com has a huge inventory of political bumper stickers and messages that reflect the truth about our government, our politicians, and the future of America. With so many in stock, there's one perfect for you. Visit us today at LibertyStickers.com. Again, that's LibertyStickers.com. Do your part. Your voice is important. Let it be heard.
So, you love talk radio, then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7, with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
The Republic Broadcasting Network late night premiere show of Red Pill Hardcore is hosted by activists that want to hear from you, the listeners. So that you can get involved in the activism, please call in at 800-313-9443 at 10 p.m. to enter the discussion. To book yourself as a guest, call our studio at 202-657-5715 or contact RBN staff. Remember, keep it real and take the Red Pill.
When all this twisted steel was swept away, did these remaining holes reveal what really happened?
Welcome back to our show here. We're talking with Voice in the Dark. So take it away, Voice, and just pick up where you left off.
Gosh, I have to slow down from where I took off because I think I started out at about 100 miles an hour. I'm glad for the commercial. It kind of calmed me down and helped me focus. But, we've got a bigger picture perspective here on how all these things cross-correlate or conglomerate together, as it were. We've got all these different things going on with our news, what with these protests and with the vaccine mandates and with the mask laws. And we've got a lot of geopolitical things going on as well. This trouble with China and these problems with Israel and Iran. And you and your wife have actually done a really good service. If you look at whatreallyhappened.com website, for the listeners out there, Mike has got a really good website there where you can get a lot of good information about what's going on around the planet, guys. So I'd suggest you take a look into it. But again, in the bigger picture, Mike, I'm afraid that I have to say that our country is in real trouble. Would you agree with me on that?
I absolutely agree with you.
I really wish that I had better news because I don't like being a fearmonger, doomsdayer, Chicken Little kind of guy. But I was saying it back in May on my own podcast. We're in trouble. We're not going to be roasting hot dogs and watching fireworks on the 4th of July. I really wish I had been wrong. Turns out most of us got our fireworks canceled unless you count LA. My God, did you see that? That was a really good fireworks show. That was like the best thing on the planet. I've never seen anything like that before in my life. That was awesome. That is the silent majority of America speaking up. And that's what we all need to do right now. And that's why I wanted to talk to you about this cross correlation of like looking at all the data and taking an idea of what bigger picture it's building right now. Because if we don't all try to start talking to our neighbors and our friends and even the strangers on the street, if they're willing to stop and listen long enough, I think that each and every one of us, if we're willing to practice the discipline to separate fact from fiction, and we separate, and bring those facts out to the public mentality, I think we can wake people up. But I'm sitting out here in California, Mike. And, just this morning, I was trying to talk to some of the people like running down the street with their masks on or, riding their bicycles with their masks on. I was trying to, catch the attention of anybody I could and hold a small conversation with them about the facts. And it was amazing to me how many people were willing to actually listen to me. But then when I was done presenting cold, hard facts to them, and in fact, I was willing to look it up on my phone at the time to let them see what Johns Hopkins or what the WHO is talking about. And when I was willing to present real numbers and real facts to their face, they listened. But when they were done, they put their mask back on and then they walked down the street again. It scares me, man. Yeah. So, the biggest thing I guess what I'm trying to say here, Mike, is that those of us who are fortunate enough to be able to be listening to folks like you and really doing our homework, we need to wake up. We need to get this going on.
I agree. Well, I'm going to have to let you go. We got to take a break for station identification. We have more callers waiting on the line, and we will be right back after these few words.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
Extendovite really works. Here are some reviews from Amazon.com. Amazon customer, 5 out of 5 stars. I'm quite happy about it. This product has relieved what appears to be an angina problem, pain in the chest after climbing stairs, and short on breath. I'm quite happy about it. Dr. Sam Surreal. Good product and ingredients. Kept my blood pressure normal after mild heart attack in 2015. Switched to plant-based diet also to reverse atherosclerosis. John Bispicos, 5 out of 5 stars. Built up my immune system. To order, call 1-877-928-8822. That's 1-877-928-8822, or visit our website at heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
This is RBN, the Republic Broadcasting Network.
What really happened with your host, Mike Rivero. You're listening to the Republic Broadcasting Network, where you'll find out what the Fukushima's going on.
And welcome back to our show, hour number 2. The phone lines are open, 800-313-9443. And we're going to go to Nancy in Ohio. Nancy, thank you for waiting patiently. What's on your mind today?
Hi, Mike. Yesterday you had a guy or two that was against President Trump sending in the military to quell these uprisings. And my husband was in the 101st Airborne, and when the Detroit riot started. However, he was home on leave because we were expecting a baby.
Yeah.
But Johnson sent in the 82nd and the 101st Airborne into Detroit to stop the riots.
Yes.
And I think that Trump should be doing the same thing today to stop this what's going on. And I just wanted to remind people that Johnson sent in troops.
Trump can send in the Marines without violating posse comitatus, because the Marine Corps is exempt from that.
Okay, then why doesn't he do that?
I think he should. I think he needs, we're less than 100 days away from the election, and he's got to start acting presidential, and shutting down these riots would be a good way to do it. And finally, saying, the COVID-19 is a more difficult issue. But Trump has missed so many opportunities to thwart the Democrats' plans to steal this election. Maybe he doesn't want a second term. Maybe he's tired of the job already, but he doesn't want to say, I quit. I mean, look at George Herbert Walker Bush, served only one term because he didn't dare serve a second term, because the Iran-Contra investigation was getting too close to him.
Well, personally, I don't think the COVID-19 or the coronavirus is our problem. I think that the communists that have taken over our government is the problem.
Mm-hmm.
That's our problem. That's who's stirring the pot between all this rioting. It's the communists. It's not the corona. The corona is a plandemic.
Yes. Maybe.
And it's not airborne, Mike. It is not airborne. It's not because somebody tipped over a vial in the lab.
Well, you and I are going to have to agree to disagree on that particular aspect of the story, because it's not proving to be all that effective in terms of a biological weapon. And the fear that's being mongered by the corporate media, it's way exaggerated. They're deliberately whipping up the hysteria. And Peter Anelli is absolutely right. This is all about keeping people in their homes past the election and get them to vote by mail, where their votes can be altered between the post office box and the counting centers.
Well, and I'm ashamed of the people that have bought into this and that it's allowing this to happen. People my own age, I'm almost 80, I'm amazed that people my age have fell for this.
Yes.
And by the way, my baby was born 53 years ago today, when that riot was going on.
Well, happy birthday once removed.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Thank you an awful lot. We're going to switch over to Tom in Florida. Hello, Tom. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Yeah, Michael, I just want to say good afternoon, and that Nancy was a great call. Nancy was right on. Listen, Michael, let's get to the real meat of the matter here. Today's meeting with Barr hearing today was off the chain. It was off the chain what's going on in that Congress, and listening to these demon rat dimwits, and Michael, all these so many so-called leaders in the Democrat Party are speaking about Barr. Barr was excellent, and Andy Biggs tore him up. Andy Biggs let him have it with both barrels. Let me tell you, all these the speakers for the Demon Rat parties, they all supported Louis Farrakhan, Michael. These people are talking how good Farrakhan is. You got that, what's her, this Hakeem Jeffers and all these other, the one from the black lady from Texas, they're all sympathizing to Louis Farrakhan. If Donald Trump would have said anything about a guy like Dukes or anybody in the right, they would have tarred and feathered him. Okay, Michael? He'd been tarred and feathered. But these Democrats get away with all this filth, and did you hear that? Did you happen to see the meeting, Michael? Did you happen to watch the hearing today?
Oh yeah, I was watching it.
Okay, excellent. Now you recall that Barr, they were throwing figures out there, right? And the one guy, George, is talking about the figures of the 13%. We're only 13% of the population. So if you're talking Barr about 11 white people got murdered by cops and only 8 blacks. But here I'm looking. Look at this racist black man. If a white guy were to do that in the Congress, if any of those white guys were there, they would have kicked him out of Congress, or they'd tried to have him impeached. Okay, this is off the chain, Mike. It's off the chain what these Afro-Americans are able to verbally say on that floor of the Senate, in the Congress, in the House of Representatives. They're allowed to get away with murder, just like black affirmative action. It's called black. It's tripping affirmative action is affirmative action, because they get away with murder compared to what a white person can honestly say in the media or on the House floor, the Senate floor. They get away with all kinds of nincompoop nonsense. And Mike, and I'm not even going on the coronavirus in a minute, but going back to hearing Barr is hammering it back and forth. And you know what? These people in the Democratic Party, like Nancy had just said, they want to destroy this country at all costs. When we had the McDuffie riots here in Florida, we had 78 people got murdered. Well, 12 of them were white Americans who got murdered on the street. The first day the McDuffie riots broke out here in Miami, Florida. 78 people in total got killed in that riot, and I believe it was 164 were severely injured. Some girls lost their legs. There was like 10 amputees during that McDuffie riot here in South Florida, Mike. They called out the National Guard. They had live ammunition. I remember up and down US 1, all the way from Hollywood, Florida, all the way down to almost Florida City. They had National Guard troops. They had to squell this thing all the way and all the way up into Broward County. Who's kidding who here? Now this here, the National Guard was called out, and they dealt with this situation. As a matter of fact, the McDuffie riot did last, I believe it was 48 days, Mike. It was a 48-day riot where they literally burnt down Overtown and Overtown. Liberty City, I mean, Overtown, Liberty City, all that was on fire. They burned up buses, county buses, okay? I believe it was 28 buses got burnt up during that riot. Your county buses. So who's kidding who here? And we're hearing about Trump's. These people in that Democratic Party and a lot of those, the black leadership, they're all supporting Louis Farrakhan or Sal Lewinsky's Rules for Radicals. Who's kidding who here, Mike? And they're getting away with spew that no white guy could ever do, or white woman can spew like they can. And they're the minority. And you know what? Let's get to the real fact, Mike. You got Jerry Goldman Nadler. You have all these other schmucks in that Congress. They're only 2% of the population, yet they're controlling our government. They got Supreme Court judges. They got the Congress people are 2% of the population, yet they control our government. And white people are this and that. I don't understand it, Mike. I don't understand it. I'm perplexed how they can control so much power, and the white Caucasians are just grabbing their ankles and bending over for this nonsense. It's nonsense. And hearing today from Barr, and by the way, Barr happens to be half Jewish. I'm pretty sure you're aware of that, Mike, aren't you?
Yes, I am, but I don't hold it against him.
No, I don't either. And if you notice, this guy, Ted Deutsch, kept bringing, he was rambling about some nonsensical stuff about Roger Stone, who happens to be Jewish himself. I guess he saw Jesus. So I don't know what's going on with Stone. But here, they were tearing into Stone. But listen, what about Hillary and her BlackBerry? All the crap the Democrats did with Michael Flynn. All these people, Comey, Clapper, Brennan, they ought to be in prison with hard labor, smashing rocks. These people are living in these luxury homes. You got Pelosi lives in a $14 million home. What did she ever do, Mike? Did she ever build a house? Did she ever do any construction, carpentry, or block masonry, anything? Plumbing? Electrical? No, this broad doesn't know nothing. Her little soft 80-year-old hands. It's ridiculous. And these people are running our government, telling us what and what not to do. No. Like I told you yesterday, Mike, and you got Soros, this guy Soros and all these billionaires trying to run the Constitution right into the ground. We're not going to take it no more. I'll tell you, pretty soon the majority really, we're not going to be the silent majority anymore. We're going to be like a lion, a tiger, and a bear roaring. A lion, a tiger, and a bear are going to start roaring real soon here. I'm telling you, Mike, I talked to a lot of people all over the Eastern Seaboard, and they're getting fed up.
Yes,
like,
same here.
In my lifetime, I've never seen, Mike. I've never seen nothing like this. What's going on? And I talk to people. One more thing, Mike. I talk to people who are afraid to fly American flag on their car. Fly their car is going to be vandalized.
Yes.
They can't put an American flag sticker on their car because they think it's going to get vandalized or their tires are going to be punctured. What if we can't fly American flag, Mike? We lost the damn country.
Yes.
You can't fly a flag, and you're not worried about flying a flag. You know what, Mike? Like I told you the other day, a lot of these Hispanics here in South Florida, they love flying 10 flags because they already went to communism in Venezuela, Cuba, and even Puerto Rico and all those commies over there. Bull crap. And we got to put up with this nonsense, the majority? No. I say no. No way. We're not going to take anymore. And these black people, they hate this country so much, and they keep bringing up this thing about slavery. Hey, my friends, 750,000 white men fought and killed each other so you could get out of bondage of slavery. When it was Irish in here waiting for you blacks got here in slavery. So who's kidding who about this slavery issue? We still have slavery in Africa. We still have slavery right here financially in this country. Slavery never ended. And by the way, Mike, those blacks who lived on those plantations lived a lot better in those plantations than they did in Africa in 1820. They lived 100 times better on those plantations. They did in 1820 in Africa. They were killing each other in Africa.
No, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. I would like to see some of these people that are screaming about how terrible things are here in the United States of America. I'd like to transport them back to Africa, back to those villages and say, okay, you live here for a couple of months, and then you come back to the United States and tell us that this is a terrible country.
Mike, you're absolutely right, but they don't have to go back to Africa. They can go right to Cuba or Venezuela. Matter of fact, they can go to Haiti. That whole country's black. Let them go to Haiti. And by the way, Mike, before I hang up, you ever read the book Santo Domingo?
No.
Have you ever had a chance to read that book? You know, Haiti at one time, the whole country of Haiti was called Santo Domingo. Did you know that?
Yes, I knew that.
And you know how the racial makeup is in Santo Domingo and Haiti right now?
Enlighten us.
If you got light skin in Santo Domingo and Dominican Republic, you're considered a hierarchy. If you're dark skinned, the people in Dominica don't want you over there. They're very racist in Dominican Republic. I have a couple friends that told me the darker you are like if you come into Dominican Republic, they try to send you. They close their border off with Haiti. They don't want you there. Have you ever read about the French Revolution, Mike? What happened with Napoleon and Haiti? Maybe you should enlighten your audience about what happened with Napoleon and Haiti, Mike. I bet you 99% of your callers don't know nothing about what happened with Haiti and Santo Domingo with Napoleon and the French, what happened to the French over there. Are you familiar with what they did to the French population in Haiti? In 1801?
Yeah.
They killed every one of them, Mike.
Yep.
Every one of them. And the only ones that survived were on a Spanish galleon that went to Cuba. That's the only ones French that got to survive. And as a matter of fact, that's the only way they survived is there was a Spanish ship that went into Haiti, picked up the surviving French, and brought them to Cuba. You can read up the story on your computer, and I'm not. You can talk about that next week or this week. You tell I'm not lying, because I know the whole story. I read that book like 20 years ago. What it used to be called, the whole island of Haiti used to be called Santo Domingo. Nobody ever talks about that. And it's appalling what happened to Haiti. Santo Domingo back in when the French got overtaken. And Napoleon, if you ever read the story, what he was trying to do when they had him in exile, it's unbelievable what they did to Napoleon. When he was where was he? They had him locked up in Elba, was it? An island or something? And
yes.
He couldn't get out because he told the French crown, just give me like 10 ships so I can go back and reclaim the Santo Domingo for France. And they wouldn't let him. I guess they poisoned him with arsenic or something. I don't know. It's crazy. But
that's the latest conclusion.
Yes. But watching this hearing today about Barr, I thought Barr did a great job. But seeing some of these and that guy Swalwell and all these lying, preposterous. It's preposterous what these Democrats are getting away with. But unfortunately, Mike, you got a lot of dum-dums are going to looking at Biden. And I guess tomorrow he's going to pick his running mate. Tomorrow or Saturday at the latest. That was just on the news. He's going to be picking
He's going to announce it next week.
Well, I heard on I think it was on one of the Breitbart. They're going to know by tomorrow basically who's. And I guess he's narrowing it down to 2 women now. He's got it narrowed down to 2 or 3 women right now. So tomorrow they'll basically know who it's going to be. But they say Kamala Harris is all getting dolled up and everything to get a prop. She looks like she's a favorite, odds on favorite. So we'll see. But anyway, Mike, I know you got other callers, but listen, just seeing the criminality that's going on in this country, it's got to cease right now. Look at the Supreme Court, Mike. Look at if you get that imbecile Biden in here, he's going to be able to get 2 or 3 picks for that Supreme Court. Is that what these guys in these blue states want? The guys from Washington saw his cause, and we got to give up. He wants to give. They should get reparations. Reparations, yeah, right back out of here. I don't say give them no reparations. We had nothing to do with it. I had nothing to do with slavery. Neither you and neither did his family or his great grandfather, neither his great grandfather. But who's kidding who here? They get affirmative action. Matter of fact, they get better county jobs than any white here or Hispanic in this county where I'm at. They get the best county jobs. And actually, I believe that's through the whole state of Florida and the rest of the country. Who's kidding who? They're getting $100,000 a year jobs, man. Even if they don't qualify because of affirmative action. Ridiculous. It's got to come to a halt. It should be on merit based. You got the qualifications, you get the job. None of this.
I agree. I'm a meritocratist. The best qualified. I don't want somebody flying the plane or operating on me or even cooking my food that got the job because they needed to tick off a box on on an ethnic diversity page or something like that. I want the best qualified pilots flying me around the world. I want the best qualified doctor operating on me. I want the best qualified chef cooking the meals that I'm going to be taking into my body. And that's the way it should be. Promotion based on merit, success based on merit, not politicked into existence.
I totally agree, Mike. And that's the problem. How is it the minority, which is, I guess they're Zionists, are telling the white Anglo majority what to do? How can this be? Listen, if we're the majority, the Anglo Christians in this country, the majority, we shouldn't have to take a backseat seat to nobody. No,
we shouldn't.
We're the majority. We're the majority. We run this country, not the minority, not you people, not you. You want to be part of the government, that's fine. But you know what? It's like NASCAR. Now all of a sudden, double law, all these guys are destroyed that beautiful sport of NASCAR. It's gone. I'm never watching another race. If it was a Daytona 500, it's the greatest race in the world. I'm never watching a race.
Tom,
never.
Take a deep breath. Calm down.
Sorry,
okay.
I get a little excited.
All right, you've got 1 minute left to go.
Well, okay, Mike. I'm so perplexed with the sports industry, how they're look at the NFL, Mike. It ain't what it was back in the 80s. Now, even that became soft, the NFL. And by the way, Mike, what's all the teams going to be called? The Oakland football team, the Chicago football. I think that's the best thing we could do right now. Take all the names of all the teams, and it's called the Indianapolis football team. What do you think?
I think it would be a good idea. Plain rap sports teams. That's going to make all the liberals happy.
Yes, we can make them all happy with that. We can make them all happy. We can do that with the NBA too. Name every basketball, the NBA Miami basketball team, or whatever you want to call it. I mean, it's unbelievable what's happening here. It's totally absurd. And
our cultural identity is under attack, whether it's Confederacy or sports teams or auto racing or whatever. Our cultural identity, the icons are.
Nancy said one thing. Detroit, Michigan was the richest city in the United States in 1916. Look what's happening now. What happened to Detroit right now, Mike?
Okay, Tom, I got to let you go. We got to take a break for commercials, and we'll be right back.
What would you say if I told you we have a new tool that will increase production and lower maintenance costs for your meat processing company? And it would pay for itself in just 6 weeks.
When pigs fly!
The new Ease Off Model Easy 4 replaces old spring-style carcass droppers and is faster, safer, and more reliable. The Ease Off lowers or lifts 1,000 pounds to or from your rail automatically using our remote control.
Sounds expensive. Can I afford it?
Can you afford not to try the Ease Off? It installs fast with just 3 bolts in place of your current dropper. The effortless operation will reduce fatigue and injuries, speed up your line, eliminate downtime, and increase profit.
How can I order my Ease Off?
Go to easeoff.com, EAZEOFF.com, and hurry because we are offering $200 off on the new Easy 4 for a limited time. Easeoff.com. We make pigs fly. Cows too. Ease Off LLC, Summersville, Missouri, 417-932-6419.
Folks, we're living in a world the likes of which we've never perceived any clearer than we do now. The plan for global governance has been in the works for generations and would have likely been achieved by now, but for the fact that the globalists left open their Achilles heel. With all their tools, Federal Reserve System, fiat currency, no child left behind, and then Common Core education introduced to our schools to dumb us down, vaccines, pharmaceuticals to lobotomize us, GMO foods, insertion of compromised or bought and paid for politicians, judges, mainstream media propaganda, all pieced together like a puzzle designed to ultimately bring the world under submission. But with all their strategy, they forgot one thing: knowledge. And knowledge is power. With knowledge, their bombardment is nullified. Folks, with that, as brilliant and knowledgeable as you've become, among the wisest audience of any radio audience in the world, and you are, I want you to take a moment to reflect and ask yourself, how much of that knowledge did I obtain from Republic Broadcasting Network? How high has my consciousness been raised since I've been a listener? How fast am I now able to discriminate truth from fake news by being a Republic Broadcasting listener? How clear am I now able to see the world since I've been listening to RBN? Ask yourselves those questions, folks. Then ask yourself, what is that knowledge worth to me? Like my morning coffee, how would I survive without it? A voice of truth in a sea of lies. Do we not all need to make sure it survives? Like public broadcasting, we are now finding we can only survive with listener support. Censorship, advertisers being attacked, truth itself being attacked. It's the only way through this. We at Republic Broadcasting humbly ask you to become a supporter. Look at your budget and make a determination of what Republic Broadcasting is worth to you and what you can afford on a monthly basis. Go to republicbroadcasting.org and pledge 20, 30, 40, 50, if possible, 100 a month or more if it's affordable. Click the donate button and become a regular monthly donor. Assure both us and yourself that Republic Broadcasting truth will continue to flow like that morning coffee. The network thanks you.
Well, they're stealing down on Wall Street and in Washington, too. You know, it makes me wonder, what's a guy on Main Street to do? I've always tried to be an honest, upstanding kind of guy. But I must admit lately, I thought about giving something else a try. Oh, I want to be a pirate. I want to sail the 7 seas, yeah, I want to be a pirate.
And welcome back to our show here. We're going to go back to the phones here to Don in Arizona. Hello, Don. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hello, Mike. Yeah, what Peter was getting at is all this is weaved together. Whoever, and I'd like to meet the people that, if there's one guy that thought of all this at the same time, because it seems like everything is for the purpose of beating Trump, basically, and also for helping out Bill Gates with his Vax the World policy and everything. And these, but some doctors are good doctors, and you know, I think it was the CDC that came out and said, don't use that hydroxychloroquine. But you can't tell a doctor not to prescribe that because it's on the market. It's been proven safe for decades, I guess, since World War II or whenever they started using that for malaria. It doesn't kill anybody. Very rarely. I mean, every drug has side effects. You can't say.
Yes.
Even people die from aspirin sometimes. But that's a safe drug, and these doctors are saying they use it with zinc and it works. And people have noticed that. Dr. Judy Mikovits, she said that, and she got banned, totally banned from the tech giants, Twitter or whatever, Facebook.
Yeah.
Same way with these doctors that came out with this. They don't want it. They will not let the big tech is in cahoots on this. Even Zuckerberg with Facebook, you can't say anything about anything that goes against his buddy Bill Gates. I don't know if they're buddies, but basically they're all in cahoots. And by the way, big tech.
Well, they're all in. Let me interrupt here. They're all in cahoots here with Big Pharma, which is a huge amount of money, and they spend a huge amount of money on advertising. And the word has gone out. Discourage people from using existing cures because we're going to come up with something that we can patent and have market exclusivity and charge whatever we want for. The problem with hydroxychloroquine is it's been around for a long time and it's available as generic. And that means no money, no big profit. And if you're going to properly exploit, a pandemic, well, then you've got to say that nothing known will cure this except what we just came up with in the lab, for which we're charging $300 a pop.
Right, and what they're actually doing is killing people, Mike. Another way to say it, they're killing people. They don't give a damn about that, right? And
right,
plus,
in the name of profits.
Big tech is making out like a bandit on this thing too, because especially like Amazon and everybody's buying their stuff from Amazon. They don't want to go to the store, put a mask on, and if things keep going like this, people are going to rely more and more on their phones and their computers for teleconferences. They're not going to meet in person. Nobody's going to meet in person for any purpose at all because it's just too much trouble. And so the whole computer business is getting a shot in the arm from this too. So in Facebook, people are going to be on Facebook and Twitter because they're not going to meet down at the tavern and talk to each other or anything like that. So it is what Peter was trying to get at, and I agree with him. This is all one big. We're not supposed to like to be called conspiracy theorists, but this is a conspiracy fact almost. It looks like, and they're all getting Trump exactly where he hurts, because the best thing Trump does is his personal appearances, and they cut that out with this. So in one fell swoop, all this happened. Plus, another thing that happened: all these young people are out of work, and they can be funneled into these. Let's be a Marxist then. There's nothing else to do. Let's go. Let's go be in these peaceful demonstrations. Yeah. So it all. But yeah, these doctors, I applaud them. It says here they discuss the media misinformation on treating coronavirus until tech giants removed it. And the same thing happened to Dr. Judy. She was getting millions or thousands, I guess millions of hits on her videos. No more. Get her out of there. And they have that censorship right for some reason. They keep talking about maybe trying to do something, but nothing's happened so far. Facebook can censor anybody. Google can censor anybody, and Twitter can definitely censor anybody, and that's the way it is. So here we are, Mike. The Michael Rivera Show.
Well, thank you very much there. Trump keeps talking a good talk about getting social media back under the First Amendment. But again, like, honest elections and vaccine safety, it turned out to be all talk and no action. And, what they used to say about George W. Bush, he's all hat and no cattle. And I'm afraid the same thing is applying to Donald Trump. He's been a tremendous disappointment. Now, I'm still going to support him over Biden because Biden, his mind is just rotting away. And on his press conference today, setting aside the issue of the teleprompters, he just did not look well. He did not look well at all.
Biden is the worst excuse for the guy. Yeah, he's senile for sure. Okay, Mike, I'm going to let you
I think
go.
it was put up there to make as a placeholder for Hillary. She's still going to try something at the convention. Anyway, listen, we got to let you go. We got to take a break for commercials. We got more callers waiting on the line, and we'll be right back.
are tuned in to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Visit our website by going to republicbroadcasting.org.
Extend your life with Extendovite, a 7-herb combination made from garlic, cayenne, bilberry, hawthorn, ginkgo biloba, valerian, and milk thistle. Each herb was chosen for their abilities to help improve irregular heartbeats, chest pain, lower cholesterol, as well as normalize blood pressure and clean and strengthen arteries, plus much, much more. Doctors have taken people off of some or all of their pills just because they believe their patients got better while taking Extendovite. Get the dependability of Extendovite. Just see how you feel in 6 months. A 2-month supply of either capsules or liquid is only $69.95 plus shipping and handling. Call 1-877-928-8822. That's 1-877-928-8822 or visit heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
Did you know that you can be tracked and traced when you're online? With identity theft and cybercrimes on the rise, your passwords, your identity, and even your physical location can be revealed to complete strangers. Would you like to surf the internet anonymously and not have to worry about these threats? Well, now you can by visiting patriotinternet.com. For about $2 per month, patriotinternet.com will conceal your IP address and your physical location, allowing you to browse the web, send emails, and instant message anonymously. patriotinternet.com will bypass filters, block sites, and keyword blocking. You can also bypass logging by your router and your ISP. With patriotinternet.com, there is no software to install and uses 128-bit encryption for your protection. When using wireless hotspots, patriotinternet.com shields your information from identity thieves and is compatible with Windows, Mac, and Linux. Protect your identity and your freedom with anonymous internet access from patriotinternet.com. Visit patriotinternet.com today.
Homeowners, are you in foreclosure, expecting to be served with a foreclosure lawsuit, or suspect your lender has coerced you into an illegal mortgage transaction? A huge number of mortgages made in the last 10 years have legal issues and are possibly defective. State laws and the U.S. Supreme Court have upheld that defective mortgage documents are grounds for foreclosure defense and for counterclaims in favor of the homeowner. If your mortgage has been sold or assigned since closing the loan, it may be defective and you may be paying the wrong party, and the lender may not have standing or the right to foreclose or collect payments under the law. If you would like to know if your mortgage is legal or not, or know if you are paying the right party, we can help. Our initial consultations are free of charge. We are not attorneys. We are legal researchers and work closely with experienced lawyers who know how to help you find the evidence to help you keep your home. Call toll free 1-855-2-KEEP-IT. That's 1-855-2-KEEP-IT today.
We will not go down in the night without a fight. You can burn up our mosques and our homes and our schools, but our spirit will never die. We will not go down in Gaza tonight.
Welcome back to the show here. We're going to go back to the phones here to Mark in North Carolina. Mark, welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hey, how you doing, Mike? Just a couple of things. One is yesterday a guy called up after me saying, criticizing me for saying we should send the military into some of these places. But evidently he doesn't understand something, okay? First of all, there is a precedent. There's plenty of precedents to it.
Yes.
Right back to the 60s when the military was used constantly in America's streets to keep order, including Washington, D.C., Detroit, Los Angeles, and again Los Angeles back in 1990. Kent State, that was the National Guard, I will say that. But they actually would have been better off with the military at the time because the National Guard is not the same National Guard case. Here you have officers that need to be backed up. These are not, by the way, Mike, these are not FBI agents. These aren't the kind of clowns that tried to overthrow the government with the Russian hoax. These are plain, regular, these are basically court officers, both U.S. deputy marshals and federal protective officers, and a few and probably a few border patrol that are sent in also to help out. Okay, basically that's who these guys are. They're not the highest paid by any means of any federal law enforcement, federal employees. Period. Okay, they're simply trying to defend that courthouse, which is a federal courthouse. They are being deceived. These guys, I look at these guys like heroes now. I mean, you talk about bravery. They're being assaulted day in and day out. They're having things thrown at them. They're having lasers shining in their eyes. They're having there's gunshots. They've been shot at. They're bricks. There's even explosives.
Yes.
These guys are under siege. It's not right to keep them in this kind of situation. Trump owes it to them and owes it to the American people to send in some kind of military force, because that's the only one that could take hold. And on top of that, the people of Portland are not being protected. When you got a cowardly bunch of clowns with police officers there that refuse to do their job, okay, as peace officers, this is a disgrace. They don't owe it to the mayor. They should defy the mayor. Get order in that city, but they're not doing it, just as they've been doing it early in Seattle. And I think Seattle's starting to break down again, too. And they're not doing it in New York City, okay? They're listening to, thanks to de Blasio, whatever his name is. He's got some other name, too. But that's what I'm talking about. When you have total order breakdown, when you have public officials who are not doing their job, and purposely not doing their job, by the way, okay? This isn't my accident. This is purpose. Then it is time to send in the United States military. I know it's not a nice thing to do, but at times it's necessary. In this case, I think it's necessary. These mayors need to be locked up. The governors, too, if they're part of it, because the governor can also, by the way, the governor could send in the National Guard in Oregon. He's not. The mayor goes and actually basically cheers these criminals there at the courthouse. He's cheering them. Okay? This guy belongs in jail. That's why I said that. The other thing is, I just want to address what Tom was saying before, okay? Again, we're falling into the race bit, okay? This is exactly what the Bill Gateses and people want us to do. They want us to hate each other. They want a race war. This way they can control us, okay? And then they can move in their robots and the whole 9 yards. This is just what they want. Our enemies are not each other. And by the way, our enemies aren't foreign either. They're not China. China's not our enemy. Russia's not our enemy. Iran is not our enemy. Our enemy is right here. I say that constantly on my YouTube channel too. Our enemies are right here, and they're basically the ruling corporate billionaire class. People like Gates, Bloomberg, Buffett, whatever, and all a lot of these tech giants. Look at this clown Dorsey now, who actually took Trump's tweet off of Twitter, and because there's definitely controversy on how easily this COVID-19 can really be cured, okay, if somebody's really got it, and how few people really have it. And he had doctors gave a big news conference, but it's being cut off. There's an agenda there. And by the way, another thing too, he mentioned Farrakhan. Farrakhan is a patriot as far as I'm concerned. Yeah, he's a little crazy sometimes. He goes on with his race stuff. But you know what? He came out and said it. He said, do not take the vaccine. And that really pissed a lot of people off. And by the way, I shared that right away on Facebook. I shared it on, what's that new thing called that I got? Parler. And I shared it with friends.
I think it's pronounced parlay.
I tested it out. Big pardon?
I think it's pronounced parlay.
I call it parlay.
Yeah,
probably. That's kind of like a French name. But,
yes.
I posted it all over the place. He is not the villain people try to make him out to be. He is not with Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter, by the way, it should say white, spoiled white kids matter, because that's who most of them are. The same as Antifa. They're basically rich white kids or upper middle class family white kids who go around now having a tantrum. Okay, and that's who are mostly doing all the garbage. Okay, it's not blacks. Okay, most of them are white. They're not poor working class whites either. That's another thing. Stop with this racial nonsense, folks. We got to get together and understand who the enemy is before this enemy destroys mankind, period. That's their goal. What do you think they want to do? Why do you think they try to hide all this stuff about COVID-19? COVID-19 is just a way they'll have to control us, and eventually they're going to kill us. That's what they want to do. They want to basically sterilize, kill, maim, make people stupid. This is what they're up to, folks. Understand this. We got to stop this racial nonsense, for crying out loud. It's not a matter of race. Even these riots, by the way, this is put on by the people like George Soros. There's another guy. How could I forget this is put on by Soros. Just like he did what he did in the Ukraine.
Yes.
He doesn't care whether they're leftist or rightist. He just wants them to. He just wants revolution. By the way, these are not really communists either. By the way, these are what I call Trotskyites. Trotsky tried to do the same thing in the Russian Revolution. Stalin, by the way, the hated Stalin, he stopped him. Stalin actually, he got rid of Trotsky, eventually killed him, eventually had him executed in Mexico. And he actually did something for Russia at the time. He brought him into the 20th century. He actually built a lot. They actually he brought him back into really being a first world nation. He's not the monster they make him out to be. He was not a globalist. He didn't want to conquer. He basically looked at communism more of as an economic theory than anything else. Now, as time went on, he became a little paranoid. But, when you have somebody like a Trotsky that was in the government and he had to speak, like one of the reasons he purged the military, Trotsky was the head of the Red Army. But he knew he had to purge the military, even though it came at a bad time because just before the Germans invaded. But he had to purge that military because he knew what an evil scumbag that Trotsky really was. Okay, He knew it. He knew what he did. These are the Trotskyites now that are basically trying to overthrow this country. Okay, that's who Soros really is, a Trotskyite more than anything else. That's what Gates is. That's what a lot of these people are. They want to destroy, create revolution, okay, control. What they're about, Mike. And that's pretty much it, buddy.
All right. Well, thanks an awful lot. We're going to let you go. Yeah, well, maybe the Cold War warnings were right. I don't know. I don't think it's necessarily communists or Trotskyite. It's just a desire by the very rich and powerful to have more than they've got right now. Let's switch over to Dustin in New Jersey. Hello, Dustin. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
52 million people out of work, guys. Okay? Like, before the coronavirus, JCPenney was closing. Mike, after coronavirus, we still got coronavirus. JCPenney is still closing, right? Or are they closed? I mean, this country is in deep crap, okay? Because economically, since 2008, we never recovered, okay? And nothing's been fixed, okay? Trump hasn't fixed anything. We know that by now. No election's been fixed, right? The election process is never going to be fixed, right? What about the infrastructure bill? What happened to that? You don't hear anything about that, right?
Yeah.
No infrastructure. Wouldn't that help the economy, right? How about this, guys? What about bailing out Wall Street again? Bailing out Boeing. How come nobody talks about bailing out Boeing? Where is their rainy day fund?
How about nobody talks about repairing our failing infrastructure?
Yeah, people rip on, you heard Pompeo, right? Like,
yes,
we got to all gang up in China because, it's either them or us. That's what it was saying. Australia, the UK, the United States. But you know this, they got the most high-speed trains in the world. What do we have? One, right? On the East Coast where I live, the Acela, I think I talked about before, it only can go a certain speed at a certain distance. It's got to slow down because the tracks are in disarray.
Yeah.
And isn't like Amtrak part of the federal government? Aren't they owned? I mean, come on, guys. Like, we got a lot of problems here. And Mike, I got yesterday, that you had a gentlewoman from Michigan
Yes.
You knew, Mike. I know you know this. She was calling them savages. You know that.
Yes.
That run through my mind. Yeah. She was saying like, oh, the coronavirus. Like everybody's got coronavirus in their body, and
Yes.
it's hay fever or cutting your grass. I mean, guys, just because somebody puts like a YouTube video out or like a website talking about doesn't make it true. I mean, I do a lot of research. I look at what's going on in the world. And by the way, guys, 90,000 people probably by the end of this week are going to be dead in Brazil from the coronavirus. Some of you call it still a hoax. I don't, because, I don't think this has anything to do with Trump. What does Brazil have to do with Trump, Mike? Or Vietnam, which, and Belgium, they re-locked down, this has nothing to do with Trump. It's basically, what Rahm Emanuel says, remember, never let a good crisis go to waste, but don't let this virus make you think that this is about Trump just because it's at this moment in time. I mean, I don't know because I'm not in that.
I think Peter in Los Angeles has the right idea. This is all about scaring Americans to stay away from actual voting booths and do vote by mail, which can be easily hijacked. And, there have already been scandals about, mail-in ballots going out already filled in, and they just say, just sign and send back in, and just all kinds of shenanigans. And in point of fact, to gainsay the people who are on the Barr hearing today, it is possible to rig elections, especially with vote by mail. And it's a huge, huge problem. But again, those who benefit from the election fraud don't want to change the system.
Exactly, Mike. When you have the system the way it is, they don't want the system to change. It's not the whites, the blacks, the Hispanics, the Asians. It's the elites. But I mean, are the elites really behind this virus? You don't know, I don't know, we don't know. That's why I kind of disagree with Peter, saying this is all, because I thought this, we got a lot of things coming together at once, but during the Spanish flu, they had World War I and the Spanish flu. So there was people back then that they thought the Spanish flu was a hoax too. Do not underestimate this thing. Mike, you and your wife wear your mask. I mean, I know people sound, like I always saying, look, the mask, I'm going to give you guys cheap, crappiest mask Walmart sells. That probably gives you about 5% protection, okay?
Mm-hmm.
You keep your distance from people while they call social, that's probably another 5%. That's 10%. I mean, when you drive in your car, you got an airbag and you all got your seatbelt, right? Isn't that kind of adding to the protection you have? I mean, we don't know what's going on here. I mean, I don't want to say just don't wear anything and do this and do that. And Mike, you heard where I live in Jackson, New Jersey, with the 700 party at the house. Did you hear about that?
Yeah, I heard about that.
Yeah, well, think about that. For 700 people, Mike, you don't think of infectious disease would get into any of those people and they would go home? That. People got to think, man. I mean, come on. This. But you know what? The problem is, Mike, you got people who think this is a nothing burger. And remember, we were told in the summer it was going to be less, right?
Yeah.
This is where Trump messed up, Mike, because I know a lot of people are going to call in probably tomorrow. I'm railing against Trump. This is Trump's Katrina. You're doing a heck of a job, Brownie. Remember that with Bush and Katrina?
Yeah, I remember that one. But, Trump just finished a press conference about 10 minutes ago where he's out there, with the numbers of ventilators and gloves and N95 masks that are being produced. So he's at least putting on, the presentation that he's doing something about it. But again, I think Peter has the right idea. This is not about trying to blame Donald Trump for COVID-19, because everybody understands wherever it came from, Trump didn't cook up COVID-19 in the kitchen of the White House. Whether it was a naturally occurring pathogen or somebody dropped a test tube at the Wuhan lab, this is not Trump's fault. And criticism that he's not handling the situation correctly is a rather weak argument because nobody knows the correct way to handle the situation. This is all terra incognita. But I think Peter is right. This is about scaring people into using the vote by mail system, which is wide open to fraud. And that's how the Democrats plan to steal the White House and the Senate come November.
So, Mike, at the end of the day, when you go to the store, are you going to keep the mask under your nose or over your nose?
I keep it over my nose. And again, I'm going along to get along because, again, we're starting to get COVID-19 infections here in Santa Claus. So better
by
safe
the end
than
of the year,
sorry.
Mike?
What?
Mike, I said that. Better safe than sorry. That's
Yep.
what my mama taught me.
Yep.
And you know what? Winter's coming, guys. Okay? Get your crap in order. Because I notice a lot of people are cursing on the show now. I don't like that because,
I don't like it either.
But I mean, Mike,
Okay.
all your listeners, get your crap in order, okay? Because winter's coming. Mike, have a good night.
All right, thanks an awful lot. And for those of you who are thinking about donating to RBN, one of the things we obviously do need right now is a 5-second delay system so that we can keep the naughty words from going on out there. All right, let's see. Let's try and grab as many phone calls as we can in the remainder of the show. And we're going to go to Stacy in Florida. Stacy, hello. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Oh, thank you, Mike. I loved your comment about all hat and no cattle for Bush. That was so great. that was really the best. Okay, because you have a wonderful sense of humor and you're not able to display it like you used to before, because there's so much bad going on. However, in defense of Tom from Florida, I believe, like another listener had said in the past, that maybe you could have Tom go shotgun with you because he has so much information to share, and he talks fast to try to get it out, which is good. I wish I could talk as fast as he can, but I can't. So maybe you could have him ride shotgun with you. And in defense of Tom from Florida as well, the other man had said, people are talking, dividing the races. It's not about race, but Tom is not dividing the races. He is stressing the fact that all races in our country have equal rights, Mike, and America is not a racist nation. And that's what we need to tell all races, that we are not a racist nation. And so any person of any color can rise to the top if they so choose, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and on the mask thing, it's been determined that in Canada they received millions of contaminated masks from China. I guess you heard about that. And of course, a lot of those people in Canada used the masks before they were deemed contaminated. And
Yes.
if Dustin goes on antiempire.com, it's a news story coming out of Tennessee. The hundreds of thousands of masks were contaminated with a pesticide that was ruled extremely dangerous and toxic. However, some of the people in Tennessee received those masks for free, and they may have used those and inhaled those awful toxins. And also, Mike, the people in Tennessee, it tends to be a poor state, and I fear that they may have used those, and hurt themselves, because people need to see both sides of the mask. There's both sides. There's not just one side. And also, the masks need to be changed very often because the saliva accumulates in it within a short time of wearing it, and they need to change them. And we know people that work behind registers cannot change their masks all the time. And so they're getting sick from breathing in, detrimental saliva that has accumulated. And we want to say that the news media seems to not allow dissension at all. And people should wake up to that, Mike, because a lot of seniors even are glued to the TV set and they believe everything. And that's not a good way to have it. They should allow people to be on TV with dissenting views, right, Mike?
Well, they should, and they used to, but, they really don't. Anyway, I need you to kind of wrap up because we're almost out of time and I want to get to some other phone calls.
Okay, great. Yeah, I'm sorry I took so long. They need to let people like G. Edward Griffin on and Dr. McCullough and different people, and not call people with dissenting views conspiracy theories. Theorists. That's wrong. Thank you, Mike.
All right, thanks an awful lot. We're going to switch over to Mo in Florida. Mo, thank you for waiting. What's on your show? What's on your mind today?
I'll try to be pretty brief, but no, I think just real quick on the masks, the size of the virus, if it is a virus, is like trying to stop a mosquito with a cyclone fence. Whoever said that is true. Look up the size of the virus compared to what an N95 mask would do, and that's the joke. So whatever it is, the face mask is a sign of submission. It's like, I'm a slave. I'm stupid. Yeah, you may stop something. I don't know, somebody sneezing in your face or something, but it is the size of the fibers are too small to stop a virus. But anyways, that's not why I called. To me, I had one question. You know, I voted for Trump. My wife voted for Trump. We got the T-shirts, the whole thing. Trump, Pence. I wanted to ask you a simple question. Who has gone to jail? In my opinion, and I'll just say this.
I agree.
I want your response. Huh?
I agree. Trump has been a tremendous disappointment. I'm very disappointed in him. The only reason I'm supporting him this November is because I don't want Biden in there. Once again, we get to pick the lesser of two evils.
Exactly. To me, I think they got the goods on Trump. It's sad. It really is sad because it seems like he does just enough good to keep you in there. But, you know, if you look at the definition of a Judas goat, sometimes I think the definition is a very appropriate. I'll read it right here. The Judas goat is trained to associate with sheep or cattle, leading them to a specific destination. A Judas goat will lead sheep to slaughter while its own life is spared. Judas goats are also used to lead other animals to specific pens and onto trucks to be slaughtered. And
okay, I have to cut you off here. The music is going on. What I think is whoever wound up with Jeffrey Epstein's videotapes probably has the goods on Donald Trump, and that's why his wings have sort of been clipped. Anyway, we got to end the show here. Steve Elkins is taking over the microphone for John Stadmiller coming up next, so stay tuned for that. Please spread the word of RBN. Spread the word of whatreallyhappened.com. Please donate. We need to buy new equipment to stay on the air and do what we're doing. We need a 5-second delay over at RBN, we really do. So have yourself a good evening. We'll be back tomorrow, and aloha, America.